Hey, what's up everyone? I wanted to show off my homemade atmospheric steam sterilizer for sterilizing mushroom substrates. So we're gonna throw these blocks in here a little bit later today to to sterilize. So basically what this is made out of is a 55-gallon drum. It's food grade coated on the inside. This is just regular kind of like vat insulation that you'd put around like some AC ducts. I keep that on there on the top here just to keep the heat in. But I'll start with the top and we'll work our way down and get some of the more interesting components. So first thing I did was I put a couple holes in here to have some of these valves. This is more or less to control steam coming out. I put two just to be extra safe. You probably don't need to go that overboard. I think as long as you got one, you know, I don't clamp this down. I just kind of set it on it. So if anything, if the pressure built up too much, it would probably just push it off. So I would only do one. Save yourself that $10–15. I have a thermometer. This is a one that you would use for like a beer. You know, making beer or whatever, something like that. This is just kind of a hard gauge that I wanted on here for my own benefit. I'll show you that gauge, that electric gauge as well in just a little bit. But yeah, so this is just something I can keep an eye on. If I flip it over, you can see this is the issue I'm running into lately. The steam did not go well with my inner coating here at the top, just on the lid. So I ended up sanding it off, and now I'm dealing with a little bit of rust or whatever. But I'll probably throw a little light coat of oil on that just to mitigate that a bit. I threw this little screen here on top just to have a spacer, double protection in case anything got like sucked into those holes. Once again, this is probably overkill, not totally necessary, but a nice to have. All right, getting into our barrel. This thing can fit probably about 30 or so, give or take, 5-pound substrate blocks. I wouldn't want to do more than that, and that's probably kind of pushing it, because I do like to have a little bit of air between all of them so that we can have that steam really sterilizing it. For my false bottom, this one's a little dirty. I need to clean it out. I just used a pizza pan here. This was like $10 on Amazon. And then I broke pieces of cinder block in here just to create that false bottom. Yeah, and so what that looks like in here is I installed this 1500 watt hot water heater element. You can see it's already got build up on it. It's only been a couple of months. I think that's normal. I'll probably buy another one of these because they're like $15 just to have on hand in case this one ever burns out. But yeah, I put that in there. I used some red RTV paste to kind of really hold that thing in place and keep it from leaking. It also comes with some gaskets as well. I got my float valve here, so when we turn the water on, this will fill it up to here and it will stop, and I'll show you that in just a minute, kind of what that looks like. So what all that looks like on the outside is I cut a hole, and I use kind of like a boring drill bit to cut a hole and put the outlet or element in, and then I just wired it up like normal. So you can see this is just a piece of 20 gauge wire. I attached it on these I guess ends here, and then I did the same thing as well over here. Just created a cord. I also cut a little hole right here, put a bolt through there, a little screw, just so I can have this grounded. This is just right above the water line. That way I don't have to worry about water leaking out of here. Definitely make sure you do this piece. You don't want to get shocked or anything in case any of these wires end up touching the metal. At the bottom here, this is another beer brewing attachment here. This is just so I can drain it easily. Basically, I'll just pop this open, it drains out. I'll attach like a little hose or something there, and then I'll end up having to tilt this thing on the side to get it all out. This here is that float valve here, so water will go up through here, fill up the base of it. I had to kind of create like a makeshift one because I don't have water in this building, but you can see it's filling it up, and it takes a little bit to get this thing capped out, but I'll show you that a little bit more whenever I run this thing. But yeah, that's essentially it. What I do, throw this in here, fill the sides up with my substrate bags, throw this on top, and then when I want to turn the element on, I plug it into this Inkbird controller here, and this is set. So if you look here, we got a little set button. It's set to 206 degrees. I poked around in the settings, so once it drops to 203, it kicks back on. So yeah, basically this element will run until we get to 206 degrees from this sensor, and then it'll keep it between 203 and 206. So what I do is I just run that through here throughout the process, and that's gonna keep up with how hot it is inside this barrel. So yeah, keeps it at about 206. I find that if I turn this on and run it from the time I plug this in, about 24 hours. It takes about 6 hours or so to get the inside, the internal temp up to 206. And then, you know, we'll have another handful of hours before the bags are up to core temp. But yeah, I find that if you just turn it on and come back 24 hours later, cut it off, let them cool down a little bit, they are fully sterilized. I've never had any contamination or anything like that. So yeah, that's kind of the general rundown of the steam sterilizer. It cost me a couple $100. All these extra attachments definitely adds up quickly. You know, it's like 15 here, 20 here. So, you know, use what you will. You know, develop what you want, but you can put as much or as little into this as possible. I definitely recommend using some kind of insulation. Otherwise, that thing's going to be running non-stop, and it's going to be losing heat really quick, and you know, may struggle to keep up. So what I'll do is I think maybe tomorrow I'm going to run it. I'll show you kind of what that looks like, and we'll come back. All right, this is what the inside looks like once the water's in. So it's going to keep it at that level. As the steam comes out and that float valve lowers, it'll trigger it to put more water in there. So yeah, it just keeps it, you know, about an inch or so over the heater element right there. So let's load this thing up with some blocks and we'll kick it on. All right, this is what it looks like loaded. I'm not doing a huge batch today. I'm only doing 6 10-pound blocks and then 3 5-pound blocks. So you can see there's, you know, plenty of room still in there. I didn't even tap the middle. You could squeeze some 5-pound blocks up there and just kind of work them in. But yeah, when I load them, I like to kind of alternate stack them like this. That way steam's getting in between all these nooks and crannies. The name of the game is to get the internal temp of these blocks up to 200 and really just a little over 200 for as long as you possibly can to sterilize them. So what we're gonna do, put our top on. We're gonna plug this in. Then, as I mentioned earlier, we're just gonna feed our probe down here. A little bit in there, kind of in the center. And we're just gonna let it sit now. I'll come back when it's heated up. You can see here, the internal is 70 degrees, 70.9. So I'll show you what that looks like as we get a little bit higher. probably about 6 hours. All right, so here's the update. It's been just under 4 hours. We're at 192 degrees. You can kind of see here, barely, just a little bit of smoke coming out. Probably can't even see it too much. But yeah, so 4 hours in, 20 or so to go. We're just under 200. We'll check it out in just a bit. All right, it's been 24 hours, so I've cut it off. Just gonna move this out the way here. See lots of steam coming out, but what I have is these high temp resistant gloves, and then just a little bit once the steam is mostly gone, I'm gonna take these out, put them on a rack, let them cool down, get them back to room temp so we can you know, introduce some grain spawn and have some new blocks colonizing. So yeah, that's the whole process. It's pretty easy. And I'll throw some of my build parts in the comments below, and y'all let me know if y'all have any questions, any thoughts, or anything like that. Do me a favor, hit the like and subscribe button, and thanks for watching.